We stand on the precipice of a world where hyper-personalized content creation becomes the norm, where anyone can produce music, art, or even entire films with just a few clicks. Yet, in our rush to embrace these tools, we have to consider the implications. Are we sacrificing the collective moments that bind us as a society? Maybe we should just step aside and let the machines take over. We don't rise to the occasion. If we can't step up and fulfill our potential as creators, then maybe it's time to consider the only appropriate response.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Troy Bernier with the Miami International Science Fiction Film Festival. And today we have Mr. Phillip Lybrand, who's discussing his documentary film called Destroy All Humans. Destroy them! Oh, it's actually a very interesting documentary film where he touches on the subject of AI and its incorporation into our day-to-day lives. It's a very strong topic that we highly recommend people pay attention to. Um, as we know, technology is a wonderful thing when it's applied correctly, or at least, you're not being attacked at the table. But technology can be applied in ways that can actually eradicate society, eradicate our civilization, modify our civilization into something far less desirable. So the timeline that we're living in currently, there's a lot going on with whether you want to call it artificial intelligence. Some people are calling it augmented intelligence. Some people just want to call it machine learning. So let's bring on Mr. Phillip Lybrand, and he's going to give us his take and discuss his film. Good to see you, Phillip. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk about this.
Thank you so much. And you are an alumni here at MiSciFi. You first came on board with a screenplay. So folks remember that we are also a screenplay competition, meaning we receive screenplays from all over the world, predominantly the United States, but we review them, judge them, and they win. They're awarded. Additionally, we're one of the few screenplay competitions that actually give people feedback. So they'll receive a one-page or two-page report on their screenplay, giving them opinions and direction. And once in a while, if you're a finalist, we'll perform your screenplay on stage during the festival. This year, I think we're going to perform 3 screenplays. And do realize, not the whole screenplay, it's just like a page or 2 of it in full regalia, costume, and thematic music with props, things like that. Technology.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, my screenplay is actually, it plays into the documentary. So it's a very meta documentary where it becomes kind of a personal film at a certain point about my process and how I accidentally made this documentary. But the screenplay which was a Star Trek TNG fan film spec script is part of kind of the third act of the documentary.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, what do you think? Let's just get to the brass tacks. We don't have a whole lot of time here, which we can be later on, because you are attending the festival, right?
Yes, I'll be there in person.
Okay, well, you will be on that panel. I'm telling you that now. You
The-
will be on that AI panel.
The AI panel. Okay, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. So in your mind, and why? What's going on? What are the good things? What are some of the bad things? And why AI?
So yeah, it's interesting. The people I interviewed in the film, the artists, interviewed visual artist, musician, entertainment lawyer. A lot of people want to get to the ethical implications of what AI is trained on. What is it copyrighted material? Is that legal? It's sort of, we've already reached the point where those questions, the answers to those questions are kind of already irrelevant because the tech is here and there are free version. I have Diffusion B on my the Mac that I'm using to do this interview. I can do stable diffusion of anything copyrighted. Like I don't, it's not online. So if somebody shuts down stable diffusion online, it doesn't matter. It's a locally hosted on my personal computer. We're kind of reaching that point across
Yeah.
everything. So
How
it's
how many how many just to give folks an idea, you said it's hosting on your machine locally. How much space is it taking up in gigabytes?
not a lot. I can
What does
actually
that
look
mean?
up.
Not a lot. I don't know
I'm
what
gonna
that
look
means.
up the I'm looking up the app right now. It is I think like 200 megs.
That's it?
No, sorry, 625.
That's
625.
still small.
Yeah, it's nothing. It runs I have a Mac Studio, like the first generation release computer. It's
Sure.
so I'm not running like triple 4090 video cards and like a connected array. It's just a single chip and it's fast and it's good, good enough. This is when it's bad also. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But that's kind of a theme of the film. I performed a social experiment as part of the film and
Mhm.
had pretty surprising results with how well the material I produced was accepted by the public. With what
Yeah.
I would consider to be like this is still the bad version of that tech, and it's already
Right.
good enough to fool people.
That's really so yeah, but once again, so the badness that you see is copyright infringement.
Sort of. Well, that's up for debate whether or not it is copyright infringement. There's no
No,
question
but
that it's
I'm just saying the worst case scenario right now you're saying is copyright infringement. But beyond that, because that's copyright infringement, you know, times 10 is today times Napster, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
So, that hasn't destroyed the economy, that hasn't destroyed civilization. But I'm
Right.
talking about, things that could impact us extremely negatively. A few
Yeah.
people losing all their money or losing all their control. you know, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
so
that it's a good thing, but there's got to be something worse than that.
yeah, I think so one of the things I touch on in the film is the idea.
Hmm.
It's kind of a speculative documentary. It's like I said, it's very meta, but I'd say a third of it is about my predictions, not what I want to happen, but what I see happening through the research, just through my personal speculation, but
Hmm.
sort of the death of shared culture. So if you take the idea of I can type one sentence into Diffusion B and say I want to see Indiana Jones and Benjamin Franklin Gates from National Treasure solving a treasure hunt together, and it'll give me a perfect still image of that. Um, I can then
But
plug that.
how perfect is that image? Come on, the image it may create an image, but there are going to be some inaccuracies in that image, yes.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There, but so this again, this is the bad version of the tech. So
Okay.
if it improves exponentially, then version two, version three, at some point it will become not if not perfect, still indistinguishable to most people. Uh,
And the issue behind this is really where did it get or where did it obtain the images,
oh
the
yeah,
likeness of those what's the word I'm looking for? Not it's copyrighted, but it's also trademarked. The
yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
images,
yeah. So
you
it's
know,
these tools.
uh, where did it get that from, right? Where did it get that from? And then someone's going to respond. Well, you go ahead and respond. Where did it get it
Yeah,
from?
these tools are definitely trained on copyrighted material with using intellectual property that they are not licensing, that they don't have legal access to. But the caveat to that is, it's kind of like in music. If you take a sample from a song and you put it into your song, you have to license that sample, unless you can claim fair use in rare cases. But you can't just take something from an existing IP and release it as your own. Uh,
Okay.
so And there's some of these tools, like you'll see people who make AI images, and there's a Getty Images or a Shutterstock uh, watermark on it. It's very clearly using. And likewise, some of the music tools, Suno,
Right,
Udio, that's a big part of my documentary.
right,
Um,
right.
Suno specifically has been busted
What'd you
with,
call it? Suno?
yeah, Suno.
Okay.
They've been busted with producer calls, like DJ Khaled yelling DJ Khaled, like samples of his voice saying that. You try to get a beat and it drops that in there. You don't ask for it, but it's in there because it's in the training data.
So
Um,
so so let me ask you this question now. So I want you to respond to this. So what's the difference of someone, first of all, when you say it's training, what people need to understand is what they're doing is they're showing this the to that robot. I'm going to use the word robot for artificial intelligence, but they're showing these movies, these pictures to a robot, and the robot uses that information to create another visualization of what you told it to do,
yeah, so it first
right?
understands. Yes. If
So, what's the difference between that and say a child taking a pen and crayons or markers and drawing something or painting something that looks just like that?
That's a good question. And just if you got I have a BFA. I went, I did studio art classes. The first thing you do is they show you master works and you reproduce them. You're training on you, and you're meant
Right.
to
And
reproduce it to learn how to
and
do your own version.
right. And know some people are so good, they're as good as the original artist. Let's just say they draw pictures of Batman.
Mhm.
Right? So you got Stan Lee, you got Batman, right? Or Marvel. What are these Marvel characters? And they can draw it, color it, make it look exactly like an original.
Yeah.
Just the way you see it in TV, just the way you see it in a comic book, whatever it is. And they say, yeah, I did this. What's the difference between them doing that and a robot doing that?
Um, ethically, it's you could argue, so ethically and legally there's two different answers to that. And sort of the conclusion I've come to is, at least on the legal side, it doesn't matter if it's legal because everybody has access to these tools. And more importantly, that whole idea of like the death of shared culture, if you have access to those tools, let's say you hated Christopher Nolan's Batman movies and you really wanted uh, David Schwimmer to play Batman instead of Christian Bale. I think soon you'll be able to just type a sentence and you will have personal access to the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy with David Schwimmer in the lead role. And if you choose to
So,
just personally consume that and not share that with anybody,
right.
then that's a really slippery slope where hyper personalized media that is completely fulfilling to you, the consumer. If you're producing and consuming your own hyper personalized media, there's no more water cooler discussion. Not everybody's not pissed off at season 8 of Game of Thrones because everybody watched a different season 8 of Game of Thrones.
So,
It's a weird
so,
dichotomy.
so basically, you didn't fully answer
Sure.
my question. I'll try to answer it and tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
So the difference is that you created this. It didn't belong to you. You created it yourself using the similar tools or same tools or some other tools, and you kept it for yourself or you showed it to your friends somewhere, and
Yeah.
that's it. It becomes an issue
Oh, yeah.
when it's put in an environment that's monetized
Oh, yeah.
or monetizable. So it's not monetized yet, but it's monetizable.
Or even just impersonating without monetizing. If the
Impersonating?
Yeah, if the implication is like this is happening with music right now, like, oh hey, did you hear the new so and so song? And
Mhm.
it's fooling people. It's not. Nobody's making money on it, but they're still putting it out there just as
Yeah, but where they putting it to? Where they put it to?
or just their own social stuff can go viral without
No,
generating
no.
money.
So no, wait, no, but where specifically where?
Oh, just social media.
Right. That's my point. It's monetizable.
Oh, sure.
So social media is an app that resides on the internet. So that app uses the internet to convey itself to whoever's on the other end. And that vessel that it's in is what's monetizable.
Yeah, and somebody is making money in that exchange. Whether it's
Right.
the platforms. Yeah, for sure.
Right. And that is the issue. So if and we got to wrap this up, but so if no one used it anymore, and let's just say hypothetically, we wind the clock back prior to the internet, it would not be an issue anymore.
Potentially. Yeah,
No, it
it's
wouldn't. It wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be an issue anymore if we didn't have the if we could not have these apps on the internet. There wouldn't be there wouldn't be any laws broken, at least from that vantage point. Now, if you go to a Comic Con and someone's drawing all of this stuff and sells it to somebody, isn't that a violation of copyright? Absolutely, it is,
oh yeah.
because they're making money off of that. So they have to have a license to do it. And typically, you have an artist who works for DC or works for Marvel that's there and is doing it, right?
Yeah.
That's a different story because they're
Yeah.
licensed to do that. But when you have any old person that does it, doesn't have a license, never worked it, never did any of that, and is doing it, now it's an issue. And it's up to that venue now, because it's the vessel that's to blame. Then the venue has to control who's doing it and who's not doing it. And they're gonna run around telling, oh, you can't draw that or you can't sell that, blah blah blah. You have to give it away. Whatever. The same thing with
Yeah.
this itself. This is an actual replica from the TOS TV show. However, it's manufactured at the time, because this is pretty old. It's manufactured at the time by the only company who was allowed to make it, who was licensed to make it,
Yeah.
Anovos. Other than that, you couldn't buy one, because whoever had the ability to make them had to do it secretly or in private,
Yeah. And
because it
now we
was
have Etsy.
outside. Right, right. So I think this is a very easy solution if you include broad accountability. broad accountability. So that's the real issue. Who's going to be held accountable? Are you going to
Right.
hold accountable the person who drove the car accidentally, into a building, or are you going to hold the person accountable who made the weapon in the first place?
Sure.
How do you deal
And
with that? That
I
falls
think
into a regulatory environment.
and I think Disney will have one answer, Nintendo will have a different answer, Metallica will have a different answer. It's all going to be variably enforceability of it is going to be the toughest part.
Yeah. So who are the winners in this game?
I don't know. It's
The lawyers. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. The lawyers are gonna be busy with
The Bannisters and So yeah, man, it's interesting. And it'd be great for you to be on that panel as well as others that we have, the science behind science fiction maybe. um you have anything you want to add? We got 20 seconds.
No, just I'm excited. This will actually be the first public screening of the film, so looking forward. And I think we got New York like a week later. So
We're in New York. Philip K.
East,
Dick.
no. That would be that. If that happens, that'll be on my birthday.
Tell him. All right.
We played there. We played there before, so we're
Okay.
kind of alumni. We're alumni there too. But
rattle his cage and say, hey man, rattle. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, just I'm excited to put this in front of people. I'm excited to sit down with nerds on a panel and talk about this in person too.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for having
Philip,
me.
appreciate your time, and we will see you again super soon.
Alrighty, look forward to it.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.